We all have coffee. We're all set. We're rolling out the show for you today for Monday, the 21st of July. Welcome to the program. I'm Larry Aarons with Amber Hendren, and it's always good to see Dan Mayfield here.
Good to see you guys. It's been a minute since I've been in.
It's been a coon
Yes,
days.
exactly.
Yeah.
Been doing all kinds of stuff but writing about accelerators and incubators, and it's been great fun. And it's the newest, biggest thing in town right now. Is all the accelerators
There's all
coming in.
this
It's
stuff.
wonderful.
What's the difference?
And this is the thing I've been trying to explain to a lot of people, because you think of startups and you think about places you can go and they'll help you get your startup off the ground. In incubators, we've had them around for a while, the Bioscience Center, West. They're all wonderful places that help you get your business going. And usually it's about a 2 to 3 year program. And you sit there and work slowly and build up your company. An accelerator tries to do that in 90 days. So they're after smaller, high growth companies, generally app companies. And so like Paul McCartney's apps we were talking about a minute ago, go ahead and launch that live. And you try it out, you test it, and then you pivot. You try it out, you test it, and you pivot, and you keep going until you get something that people want to buy. And it's this incredibly fast, incredibly intense thing. And they set you up with mentors, they set you up with a stipend, everything. It's amazing. And in exchange for being in the program, the accelerator itself takes an equity stake in your company. And ABQID, Creative Startups, and there's several others in town. The city of Albuquerque is working on one. And they all take 6%. And in exchange, they expect you to have a cash flow positive company within just 6 months.
Oh.
It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. And these guys here, the big photo on the left here, is a couple of locals. That's Dara and John, and they're working on this very cool app. It's a food truck tracker.
Oh, cool.
How great would that be, right?
Really?
So, yeah, you just log on, you figure out where your favorite food trucks or where all the food trucks in the neighborhood are, and it gives you GPS directions and everything. And that's the kind of thing that technically it's not a difficult project to program, but figuring out how to get it launched and how to get it to people is ideal for an accelerator. And ABQID gives you $20,000 as a team to do this, which is kind of the difference between being able to start your company and not start your company.
Right.
These guys can quit their day jobs. They can focus full time on doing this project.
With the 20K.
With the 20K.
Right.
And they go through the 90-day program. It's really intense classes. And basically it's 18-hour days for 90 days, which is what the accelerator company expects. It's a great, fun, interesting project. I can't wait to see it happen
Total
here.
immersion.
Wow.
Complete total immersion in starting your business and making it happen. All of the accelerators here in Albuquerque now, and I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden, everybody started doing it. It just entered the lexicon immediately in Albuquerque, and people picked up on it. And I think part of that was finding capital for a lot of the companies, figuring out ways to fund these things, because it's not cheap for them to bring in the mentors. It's not cheap for them to find the space, to find the high-speed internet connections, everything that you need to start a business, as well as start the pitch process and everything that goes into it. And then also the money for the stipend for the companies. They had to spend quite a bit of time fundraising. But all around the country, these things have been big for a long, long time. And there's some numbers in the story about how big these things are. And Techstars was the original one, and it was started in mid-2000s. And there are now 971 accelerator programs that are similar to it. And this is the first time we're getting it here, which is really exciting. And it's the sign of a vibrant startup community, when you know you have enough startups that you can launch it,
That's really great news.
It's cool stuff, and there's the largest accelerator type program around is one called Y Combinator, and it's in Northern California. And the guys there started more than 700 companies, and they all have a net value now of $20 billion.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
And so the idea is, if we can get 10 starting with ABQID, they're going for 10 to 15 companies, and they're going to let the companies know on August 1st who's in this first class, that in traditional businesses, especially in high-tech businesses, about 2 or 3 will succeed and the other 7 will fail. And after an accelerator program, because they've pushed it so hard, because they've done such a deep dive with the company, that 6 to 7 of them will survive.
Great.
And then 2 or 3 of those don't just survive, but they really launch. So we're hoping if we can get 2 or 3 of
I had a
those.
good app idea, Dan.
Really?
Can
Me
you help
too.
me out?
I know. I've been thinking we need like the morning brew app.
Okay.
Hey, we're talking with Dan Mayfield here on the show, and Dan is, of course, with Albuquerque Business First, and we're going to talk a little bit about the rail yards. We're going to talk about the space that is going to be Innovate ABQ. We're going to talk about all the things that are going on, and the pot is stirring pretty
It
good.
is.
It really is. So let's take a look at the Innovate ABQ
This is amazing.
campus here. You just took a tour.
First media to have a tour of it. And
Nice.
Whoa.
Randy Steiner, our photographer, and I got a chance to go on down
Okay.
to, it's the First Baptist building on Central and University, Central and Broadway, I mean.
That's a nice looking spot.
It actually is. And I was
at that.
surprised because from the outside, I hate to admit, but it looked a little dumpy. And you can see it from,
Yeah.
this is the outside, this is looking
Right.
at the courtyard. That used to be grass 20 years ago, and the trees used to be beautiful. Now it's just mud, and it's really gone downhill.
Right.
At one point, this was a showcase building. Remember when it was just beautiful?
Sure.
It was amazing, just brick. And the city, the county, UNM, New Mexico Educators Federal Credit Union, all came together on this thing to buy it, turn it into what they're going to call Innovate ABQ, which is a giant business incubator, which is different from the accelerators, but they're going to have a campus here. This photo that's over here is the one that's going to be the sanctuary.
Oh,
This
look
is
at
the
that.
main sanctuary at First Baptist now.
And
they're
that's
gonna-
an event.
That's beautiful.
It is. It's going to be an event space
Wow.
Great.
for this.
That
And
could work.
Absolutely.
You know, church is an event space anyway, right?
Right? And so the whole thing with this is to bring in hundreds and hundreds of small businesses, hopefully startups, to kind of be part of this ecosystem on that 7.5-acre plaza there. And they're going to have dorms, they're going to have retail spaces, they're going to have high-tech spaces, they're going to have laboratory spaces, everything you would need to start a high-tech company, and hopefully one that leverages technology that's coming out of UNM or technology that's coming out of San Diego National Labs. There's a lot of research going on, and it's a good chance to leverage that and build something off of it.
I see.
And so this building is that, and we had the first chance to see it. And I was expecting the worst. I was thinking, man, this thing's going to need to come down. It's old. It's old. It's not historic, but it's old. And it looked like from the outside it was in disrepair, but no, inside it's beautiful. There was a fire that actually ravaged it about 4 years ago. And the fire just ripped through the whole building, and insurance company rebuilt most of it inside. And the classrooms are all intact. And this part of the building here, this was all redone because of the fire. And then behind where this photo was taken, there's a bunch of classrooms that are beautiful. And then if you go through those doors right there, that goes into the sanctuary. And the
It
whole
looks
thing
like
is
a
set up.
college campus.
It does, and that's really part of the idea. And you know, a lot of us had a hard time kind of figuring out what UNM was going to do with this property. And if you see it, we have a full slideshow on our website at Albuquerque Business First. And you can see the whole slideshow and you get an idea of how really intact the building is and all of the possibilities that are available with this thing. It could be really amazing. And that's the thing that I think in many ways is leveraging a lot of the startups to come into town. All of these business accelerators I was talking about, they're trying to be downtown. They're doing things at Fat Pipe, which is across the street from Innovate. A lot of the tech business are moving downtown because they're seeing Innovate as a catalyst to building a neighborhood, an innovation district. And it's all based on that building, but this was the first time anybody got to see in it. Of course, it needs quite a bit of work. Thieves stole all the copper, so they need to redo all the electrical. There were some other issues. There's the roof leaked at some point, and they got to redo that.
But talk about it. It's just going to completely revitalize this whole neighborhood. We need it
That's
so badly.
That's what we're hoping.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh,
Well, you're a
it's
downtown
great,
person like
yes,
me,
and
and
I'm-
we've seen downtown
Por
ebb and
vida,
flow.
por vida, you know,
Right?
but yeah, we
Got a
need
couple
it.
minutes left. Speaking
Sure.
of rehab,
Yes.
let's talk about the rail yards for a moment.
Amazing, and this is a cool thing. We've been just following the whole rail yards project. And, you know, the city put $1 million into this, and this is how it's. And the reason why I talk about this today is a model the city is using for kind of everything else. The city put $1 million into that to leverage more private funding, and that's how they've been doing the grocery store. That's how everything else is happening, and that's what happened now at Innovate ABQ. The city put in some money, and then private funding from the New Mexico Educators Federal Credit Union came in. That was $3 million. And as soon as people are seeing the city say, "We've got an ante in this," the private developers are stepping up. And this has been a big part of Mayor Berry's push. And some people were saying, I don't know if that's going to work, or should we be putting our public money in these things? I think the rail yards is a good example of these projects really taking off and bringing in people. 50,000 people now have gone through the turnstile there in the last 6 months. And I don't know if you've gone on the weekends, but it's a lot of fun. And this thing is, they just announced the next step in the master plan with the new construction company that's going to be working there. And it's going to be a great
Nice.
project. And that's another downtown piece of the puzzle that's all coming together to create downtown and do something a little bit more with it and revitalize it on a larger scale. Yeah.
Good. It still has a long way to go, but the fact that we're getting so many visitors and that there's so much interest really does make it more of a viable
Absolutely.
commodity.
And things like this fit into the accelerator and incubator and innovate ABQ thing because these are small businesses that are operating their farmers markets, food trucks, that kind of thing. And you graduate those people into the next step of business, which is maybe a larger restaurant or a larger market or something downtown. And the accelerators and incubators aren't just taking high-tech companies. I think that's part of the myth too. And they're hoping they could get that guy who says, I've got a farm, I've got a food truck, I got something else.
Yeah.
And put that guy through the accelerator program and see where he goes in 2 years.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a new chapter in business, and you can read about it in the pages of Albuquerque Business First, both online and the print edition. Dan Mayfield always rocks it here on
Yes.
the show. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks anytime, guys.
Good to see you.
Star Dan.
Back in a moment, we'll tell you about Cuts for Kids, which is coming up. Our guest Luis Hernandez next on the Morning Brew.